All right, everybody, we are back for another edition of the Walker Report. The Walker Report with J.K. Cline. That's me. And also to Walker, the true Walker that walks among us, Cody Walker.
Yeah. The Walkman is here.
And all I gotta say, Walker, is I do not have the thinnest dick in the orgy. That's one of my favorite Negan lines from this past comic book. It was fucking awesome.
That was good when I just read that one again.
So we are going to go over some Negan comments coming on later on this podcast, but we got a jam-packed edition for everybody today. We're going to be talking all kinds of Walking Dead news. We're going to be talking, of course, the newest comic books that come out. And last time we left off at issue 153. So today we're going to be talking about issue 154, 155, and 156 of what's happening in the lead up to the Whisper Wars coming out very soon. We're also going to be talking about Fear the Walking Dead, giving our thoughts and what can happen beyond this mid-season. We're also going to be talking about Walking Dead Season 7 news and rumors about everything and more. So what's happening, Walker?
Oh, man.
Lots
of new stuff. Keeping busy.
Keeping busy, brother.
Playing the bass. Playing the bass.
Cody Walker's in a brand new band. Be rocking it and stuff. Everybody, if you're here, if you live locally here in Texas, check out Cody Walker's new band, Like Bridges We Burn.
Yeah, baby. We got a lot of shows this month.
Yes, and we are shows. So on the Killer Instant Podcast Facebook page, I will be posting your tour dates. So Anybody go there, check it out, support it. Local music here in Texas, and hey, come see Walker and bug him with Walking Dead questions.
Yeah, we'll be also coming to El Paso, Albuquerque, and Mesa, Arizona this month as well.
Nice. Touring band.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, brother. So, let's get this started. So, let's talk about Fear the Walking Dead first. So, Cody, what do you think about Season 2 so far, up to this point?
It's still on the water. I kind of like that part. Well, they got off the water, obviously, but it did get pretty intense. I did like the, whatever, I can't remember her name, the old lady, but her keeping all the,
oh, yeah.
all the people in the church and feeding them little poisoned bodies of Christ.
Yeah, because her main thing was she thought the dead... apparently there's something in the Bible or whatever that there were the dead walking, they were still living. They were just stuck in this dead body tradition. So she would actually feed people poison just to go along with how the world is coming now, because she thought it was some sort of spiritual thing. So
yeah, like moving on to the next step. She was an intense character. Obviously the the death with his boyfriend, that was pretty intense.
Yes, the boat name, because we found out what the boat name was, and that was the boyfriend's name.
Yeah, Abigail.
That's
his last
what it was.
name.
Yes,
yeah. Thomas Abigail.
So we also found out that the oh god, I'm forgetting everybody's names on here too. Should have wrote it down. What's the main guy? The black guy.
Stram?
Yeah, Strand. Sorry, everybody. Strand. We also found out at the first, when we talked about him in season 1, he was kind of a sketchy guy. You didn't really know if he was a good guy, bad guy, or whatever, broken guy or whatever. But we found in this movie, basically, he just wanted to get back to his lover, and he was actually stuck out in California, just doing some business that even Abigail didn't think he should do. He should just stay there with him.
Yep.
So his major thing was just getting across the border to go back and be with him during this apocalypse, because they felt like it was going to be safe at their sanctuary.
Yeah, their little vineyard.
Exactly. So some parts were pretty neat when it comes to me. Like, obviously, they're still in the water. And it was cool that we actually saw in this season the dangers that can come from the water. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we saw Nick, is his name? Yeah, we saw Nick kind of, he first, one of the first season was just kind of getting to know the dead a little bit better, I guess, because he was the one that found a couple things in the water at first, but he was actually kind of like playing with danger. So that's the first time we started playing with danger. And then when they actually went to go scavenge stuff from that airplane that came, which I thought was really cool how they incorporated the flight, I don't know, 482, whatever the hell it was called, into the actual Fear the Walking Dead show. I thought that was really neat. And they added the character from that too. And that was the first time that Nick had walker blood on him. And he noticed that made him like kind of invincible to the walkers, which is pretty neat that they did it really early in this show, because it wasn't, I guess it was kind of new in Walking Dead. Didn't they do that in season 1?
Yeah, they did that in season 1.
Okay.
When Rick had to, when they all had to escape from the mall or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They decided to hang the intestines off them and stuff.
Yeah, that's always fun.
I remember that.
So he decided to do that, and he done it. That's basically come as his calling card now. He basically puts his stuff in walker blood, and he is immune to it. So, and a lot of people like Strand and the girl from the Abigail, they all liked him just because he seems like he can adapt to this world. Now, I got a question for you, Cody Walker. Now, Fear the Walking Dead does have a lot of seasons to come and everything, but do you think that Nick might be a Whisper later on when they get to the Whisper on the television show? Just because the evolution of him would be wearing Walker skin. Do you think they'll do anything like that, or are they just going to keep it separate altogether?
That's a really good theory, and I think if anyone that's on the show now would be end up crossing paths with the Walking Dead universe, the future Walking Dead universe, or the past Walking Dead universe, I think it would be Nick, because he goes out on his own and does some stuff. So I think he might just venture off. If they do something like that, he might venture off from the pack and maybe run into somebody from the Walking Dead that we've seen before. But because if he's already just covering himself in blood and not really having a problem with it. So I think he could definitely be the start of the Whisperers, maybe.
Could be, because the showrunner, he did say he eventually wants to cross over the show, but you never know if they're really going to do that or not. It's just kind of like up in the air, because obviously Fear the Walking Dead takes place a lot earlier than Walking Dead, and they're on two separate sides of the country. So
one starts in Atlanta. Walking Dead starts in Atlanta, and they just go north towards Washington. And then this one starts in L.A. So
and it goes in Mexico, so it's really far away. But you never know what can happen. So
we know that Abraham and them went through Texas and stuff like that. So
that's true.
They're not too far from that, but we don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if at least some people on the show ended up like meeting people from The Walking Dead, probably from past.
Yeah,
because I think we said that a little bit last time. Like, it'd be kind of cool seeing some of the people that died in Walking Dead, maybe appear in Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, seeing Shane come back, Shane and Lori, like maybe have them talking on the road and having some other character from Fear the Walking Dead on the same street or something.
Yeah.
When the napalm goes off.
Exactly.
In Atlanta, who knows?
So another good character from Fear the Walking Dead that has a lot of build towards this season is Chris. Obviously he's getting some of that, like, I would say, kind of like he's getting to the mode where he feels killing is the way to do things, basically. Yeah,
he's having I think his equivalent of after Lori died, when Rick was doing his things and his stuff and his things at the prison there.
Yeah.
I think Chris is in his own little mode like that right now.
Yeah.
Because him standing over his stepmom and stepsister with the knife and just not saying anything and then just running out of the room.
Yeah. Basically,
that was pretty...
Yeah, and he's getting really paranoid about people. He feels like... I think in his mind, he's like, kill or be killed. Because, leading up to that, there was a guy that he found on the flight that was, stuck in the seat and everything, asking for help. You know, Chris didn't really know what to do, but the guy was like, you know, after a while, he was like, kill me. And then eventually Chris, you know, he did the job. And from there, I think he kind of like, it maybe grew to like it a little bit. And obviously he killed that kid that they got kidnapped on the boat. Yeah. And we don't know exactly, he said the guy was turning into a walker, but, you know, doesn't know if he was or not. He just basically did it without even thinking. Which is not bad for this universe, but it could be bad if you're just killing innocent people. But that does happen in The Walking Dead. There are people that go down that route that stay alive.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not a terrible, like you said, it's not a terrible way to live this universe, but you're gonna go a little crazy.
You're not gonna have too many friends.
Yeah, might be like turning into a Negan type character.
Yeah. Well,
where you don't have any feelings.
Don't have any feelings.
Don't have no feelings.
Which we do. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention that we will be talking about. We'll also be talking about the Negan backstory, which is on Image Comic Books right now.
The Image Plus magazine.
Yes, we'll be talking about that. Also, so getting back to the Fear of the Walking Dead, the last thing with Chris and everything, obviously his dad finally noticed that his son is actually going crazy, and he's trying his best to help out Chris. And I thought a really good scene was when his dad found that family, and that Spanish guy was just basically telling him, get out of here, I don't know where your son is, blah, blah, blah. But the son was actually holding up the kid. You know, so Chris is holding up the kid to tell his dad to go away, and there's this whole big scene of basically that Chris has just gone over the edge. And then Nick comes to find him to take him back, and the dad's like, I can't go back. I got to stay with him to, you know, have it go. So what do you think they're going to be doing? Like, they're basically on their own in Mexico.
It's going to be a lot of either awkward silence or a lot of arguing. And then I see them. You think they're either going to get... They're going to be run up on. Someone's gonna find them.
So it's two things that basically happen in this world. They're either gonna join a group, or a group's gonna kidnap them. Yeah. Basically, what's gonna happen.
And then, of course, the girls are gonna have to go run after them and find them. So it's just gonna be, they're just starting problems for everybody.
Yeah. So the climax for the mid-season was basically everybody just spurting all out. So you got Nick by himself, you got Chris and his dad by himself, you got the mom and the daughter with Strand going back to the boat, Abigail, and also to everybody's favorite character on there was actually going a little nuts, and he ended up burning everything. But a lot of theories doesn't think he's dead from the fire yet. They think he just kind of got out of the way, or maybe got burnt a little bit, and that's it. And there's also a theory there that they think that character is going to be part of Negan's group. What do you think?
That would make a lot of sense. That Travis would be, or whatever.
Travis is the dad with Chris.
But I think that might be his actual real name. But no, I think he might that would make a lot of sense. Him ending up in Negan's group with him having the. Looks like he used to work for a cartel or something like that. Yeah. Or at least was in some kind of guerrilla military or faction or something like that. Yeah, but because most likely it looks like cartel stuff since he knew how to peel skin off that dude, that army dude in the first season. Yeah. Stuff like that. So he's got some. We might have both training because he's really skilled in the torture, and he might just use that for cartel use.
Exactly, because we did see some background of him about how they kind of, he got his first kill when he was a little kid. He was basically kind of getting forced to that. And that was the kill that haunted him throughout his whole life. And that's how he kind of got haunted by that. And then his wife helped him kind of get back to normal in a way. Yeah. But then she died, and then she starts seeing him again. So he just constantly crazy. The big thing why people think that he might show up in Negan's group is because it was known that there was a person that has a lot of burns on him. Now, my theory, that was just Dwight, because obviously Dwight has a burnt face, and that's, what Negan's tactic's going to be. And, jumping over to season 7, obviously if you guys are listening to the show, we're going to do some, maybe spoilers, but technically we don't know if it's going to happen the same way or not, so it's not a spoiler. Dwight gets his face burnt on the oven. for defying Negan's
Oh,
rules.
he's the Iron.
Iron. I don't know. That was that was the Shield where that happened, where one of the cops burnt him on the flame. Yeah, but he used the Iron, and that's basically just to show like if you break some of the Negan's rules. So I'm pretty sure we'll see Dwight get that same kind of treatment on the TV show coming soon.
Well, when we saw him with Daryl, he didn't have the face scars, but then when we saw him again with the gang, he obviously had the burns on his face. So
yeah,
maybe we'll get a little some Dwight backstory
I'm pretty
at some
sure
point.
we will.
Since in the comics he has switched sides.
Yeah, he's the main character coming up in these comics that we'll be talking about pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, any more stuff from Fear the Walking Dead that you kind of like looking forward to, or that you think that might happen?
I don't know. Everyone's kind of split off, so I think they'll probably do a lot of what The Walking Dead did with season 6, the beginning of season 6, where everyone's like the whole first half will probably be just like the couple days of everybody escaping the vineyard and the crazy old lady.
Yeah.
But so far I think it was actually so far I think it's a much better second season than the second season of The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. This one definitely has a little bit more action to kind of get their groove back. There's a little bit more suspense to everything. And it's a lot different than the season 2 of Walking Dead, which is basically them at one location pretty much the whole season.
That season I basically equate to a soap opera where a zombie or two showed up every once in a while.
Yeah, basically. Now, my favorite part of that season 2 is actually just the ending.
Yeah.
That was only the ending, and then when they realized that Sophia popped out of the barn and she was dead. That's the only stuff I can kind of remember. She was there
the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going out and looking for her.
Yeah.
And Daryl's wasting all the time, but she was in the barn the whole time.
The whole time.
And then the Shane incident.
Exactly.
But in the comics, that was taken care of way beforehand. So
yeah, they actually. I think we might have went.
He was out of there in the sixth. He was out there in like the fifth or sixth.
Oh yeah, he was done quickly.
Gone, done.
But also too in the comic books, they had the prison and the farm at the same time.
Yeah.
So there you go, right there. All right, so let's get into some interesting stuff. Before we get into some of the news on season 7, let's talk a little bit about this Negan backstory from Image Magazine. So, tell us a little bit about this. What do you think so far? It's very short. It's only had
about 4 pages each time.
4 pages each time.
About 12 pages of it so far. I think.
Yeah, and there's like 3 magazines out so far. So,
and I think it's coming. It's obviously coming out in to line up with what's happening with The Walking Dead right now, since especially with the new issue, they tried to make Negan more humanable, I guess, more humane. Kind of tried to make him look like not such a terrible guy. So maybe we're gonna see him. I don't know. See him on Rick's side. Yeah, I mean that very well could happen. I think they're kind of making Negan kind of like I'm sounding really nerdy here. They're gonna make him seem kind of like a Vegeta. So Vegeta and Dragon Ball Z was like this ultra villain, killing everybody, crazy guy. But then later on, they kind of like made him part of the crew. They kind of gave him some, some credibility, some humanizing traits to him. But he was still crazy. He was still like a dick to everybody. So I think they're kind of doing that with Negan just because of how popular the character has been throughout the comic books, and and nobody wants this guy to go away because he's awesome. So I think just the outcry of everything, and obviously the writers love to write for this guy because he's made some great comic books. Who wouldn't? You get to write all those crazy quotes. Exactly. So I think during when we first meet Negan, he's basically this ruler of the saviors, and he has his own principles and he has his own way of doing things, but he also was kind of like a super dick to everybody. Yeah, he's built up to be kind of like the super villain of the Walking Dead universe where he's like, he has a bunch of followers and they're loyal to, like, mostly because of fear.
Yeah.
Basically. But, I mean, it seemed like he also didn't really, I mean, treat all of them too badly. Just like if anyone got out of line, you got put back in your place. Like he didn't do anything just for the hell of doing it. Exactly. Except sometimes, I mean, his little attacks on Alexandria during All Out War and stuff like that seemed like he was doing it for pleasure, but we don't know really what his ideas were exactly at that time. But the backstory is kind of shown. I do like the fact that they chose his previous occupation as a basically like a middle school athletics coach, PE coach.
And that's a really good thing because most athletic coach, that are like older men are kind of like him. Like they're just like
very vulgar like that. Yeah. So it worked out very well. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking like mechanic. I don't think coach, like a young coach, ever crossed my mind, but maybe like a high school teacher.
Well, I heard a rumor he was like a fucking car salesman.
That one would have been good too. Like, there's a bunch that would have fit. Like, maybe even like, since at the bat, like maybe he was a minor league baseball player. That one would have been good.
Well, he did get the sport, maybe.
Yeah. So
when we first see Negan, he's always He's apparently has a wife. I don't see they had any kids, but he has these 2 kids over at his house, and he's basically just giving them shit. About being like pussies and stuff.
Yeah, and beating them at fucking pink table tennis. Or did he get beat? I can't remember.
I think he beat them, and then they went off crying.
Yeah, he talked so much shit, they ran off crying.
And then his wife is there, just basically like giving him crap and everything, and then out of the blue, she just passes out. Mm-hmm. So then in the next issue, we get that she actually got rushed to the hospital because she got diagnosed with cancer. Mm-hmm. Negan during this time is just kind of like, shock and awe, like anybody would be if their loved one got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And then we also get a shot of him actually in the bed doing his duty with another woman. Mm-hmm. And he kind of stops, and the woman's kind of like, what's your deal? And he's like, I just can't do this. And, I basically can't do this. She has cancer. And then we found out that the girl that apparently he was sleeping around with his wife he was basically having an affair on his wife with this woman. And then the woman got all pissed because he doesn't want to hear Negan's problems about his wife.
Yeah.
And Negan's like, well, I got to just let you go then. And then the craziest thing is Negan tells his wife in the hospital that I broke it off. And she knew about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, why did you do that? Why are you doing it with somebody that's living when obviously I'm about to be dying? So obviously we find out that her cancer is like in a high stage right now.
Yeah.
And he's distraught. He's just like, well, I just want to be with you and take care of you. So they go out and do some activities, like getting ice cream and stuff and all this. And Negan's basically just trying to charm her up, but she seems kind of like really distant to him.
Yeah.
And then the final part that we got so far in the comic book is, they're just at the hospital hanging out, whatever. And he's, giving her some, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to stay with you this whole thing. And he looks out the window because somebody wants to evacuate. He's like, fuck no. And he looks out the window and we finally see the zombies are attacking.
Yeah.
So we learn where Negan was when the first outbreak around his area happened. So.
Do we find out that maybe he's in the same hospital as Rick?
It's possible. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to be from Atlanta. I'm guessing no, because I think he's stationed in Washington because, getting a large group like he did, Saviors, it doesn't mean a whole lot of, like, traveling,
Yeah.
So it's possible. But I think most of the stuff is going to be all of him and, staying in Washington and building up his group somehow. Now I hope this back issue kind of shows him like how he
recruited and stuff like that.
Exactly. So well, let's just get into the comic books right now.
He doesn't seem to be much of a likable person to have like just a bunch of friends that would just rally together with him. So
so he had to do something. And I hope we see that. I hope we see how the leader complex gets into Negan.
Because that was also kind of brought into in the show and in the comic when Negan meets, especially in the comic when Negan finally meets Rick and sees that he's the leader and he's got one hand. He's like, what the fuck have these people seen you do? So, like, what did the Saviors see Negan do to get that many people rallied around one guy?
Yeah, had to be something.
Yeah.
So obviously we see a lot of leader influence on Negan to Rick as it goes right now into the comic book. So let's talk a little bit about where we left off last time on the comic books. Then we'll get into some of the rumors of season 7. So we last left off on issue 153, where Negan sliced that dude's throat and basically wants to go to the Whispers because he has his own plant. So 154, we get Negan. He actually just walks into the Whispers territory, and he comes out. One of my favorite lines is, I got a knife. I want to see what you guys got so we can see if this is going to be interesting or not. And this is when Negan meets some Whispers, but he meets the main guy, Beta, the big boy. And he says, wow, aren't you a big fucker? So 154 has some of the best Negan, like, insults I've ever read before. He was basically just giving this guy all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Calling
his fucking dick face and you're a big fucker, you're scaring me right now, and all kinds of stuff. So he's basically saying, like, hey, I'm gonna run away from a group. I'm trying to join your group. He basically just kind of wants to join the group. And also too, during this we also see Eugene that we talked about last time. He's on a radio with somebody, and Eugene finally friends the person, and apparently it's a girl named Stephanie. So
yeah,
we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, because we can't, obviously before we couldn't hear the voice coming through, so we had no idea who.
Yeah, you have no idea. To.
But we do find out it's at least a person named Stephanie.
Exactly.
Hopefully a woman, because if you got a guy and you got to live through that, I figured you'd change your name, or you wouldn't tell people your name was Stephanie in the post-apocalyptic world. I mean, you wouldn't have to go through a name change now. I mean, there's no government. So you can just be like, yeah, my name's...
Maybe whatever. We'll have our first cross-dresser on The Walking Dead.
LGBT.
Exactly. Could happen.
Hey,
you never know.
Why not?
So, also in this issue too, Michonne and Aaron, like we talked about last time, were looking for Negan. And they crossed the Whispers border, and then they got attacked, after... what's his dude name again? Beta. I was going to forget that. Beta took Negan to go meet Alpha after they kind of had their squirrel. But then Beta attacked Michonne and Aaron, saying, you crossed our borders. They were trying to reason to him, but you can't reason with the walkers. And basically, during all this scuffle, Aaron got a big knife to the stomach.
Yeah.
And then during this, we get on to 155. Well, at the end of 154, one of the biggest things was basically Negan meets Alpha and was like, I'm in love.
Yeah.
So he's all like, I love you now.
So we thought there was going to be a whole,
love story.
King,
we'll get to that.
Just like 156 was called, the Queen and King.
Exactly. We'll get to that. We'll get to this. We'll get to that.
Other things.
So 155 starts off, we see the resolve of Michonne and Aaron fighting off the Whispers. And basically they were getting overpowered, and Michonne was about to get killed until Dwight comes with his army. So basically Dwight right now, because we talked about how they're kind of building an army and everything.
Yeah.
It seems like Dwight is one of the main commanders of this army, which is a good guy to be, because he's pretty good about teaching people how to shoot and kind of being resistant. So they come and they basically save the day over here. Also in this issue, we get more interaction between Alpha and Negan. And this is kind of the first sign where we see Beta not liking Negan at all. But Negan basically says, they find out that he was actually part of Rick's group, and Beta is pissed off. He don't want to kill him right there, but Alpha kind of wants to hear what he's saying. Okay, so Beta is basically saying, hey, this guy lied to me. This Negan guy lied to me. He said he was just part of a group just passing by, and he just, was on his own, but he's not. He's part of this Rick group and stuff. And Negan's like, well, shit, I had to say something. I was scared fucking pissless. I had to, lie to you guys so you guys wouldn't kill me right there. And so basically they found out that he was basically a rogue from Nick's group. And he's basically and then Alpha was kind of seeing okay, so you're just basically trying to, this is one of my favorite lines too, Negan said, so you're basically trying to get our group so you can take revenge on them. He's like, that's a pretty interesting point, but I would never ask that on a first date. So he thinks all this killing stuff is like a good first date and stuff.
Yeah.
And let me just go over one of my favorite Negan lines from issue 155, if I quote. Okay, so he's talking to Alpha, all right? And this is when he's first kind of talking to her. And one of his lines is, he's talking about how he feels. He says, okay, he's kind of describing himself and how he's wishing Alpha felt about him. He says, "I hope your panties are drenching. Rugged has fuck." He's basically saying like how she thinks he should be handsome. He says, "I hope I'm a panty drenching, rugged as fuck handsome." All right, and then he says, "If you get me another skin suit, I'ma soak through this one handsome." So basically, that's how handsome he thinks she is. So he wants Alpha to think he's so handsome that she'll be soaking wet through her skin suit that she'll have to get another one. Awesome stuff. So that's just many of the Negan lines. Hope I didn't screw them up too bad. It's a lot funnier when he says them, obviously. So also too in this episode, the comic book. Also we get Michonne. Yeah, Michonne riding and getting Aaron back to
the hilltop
to get him some medical help. So we don't know the status of Aaron right now.
Yeah, they're still on the way there.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So, and then Dwight comes back too, and he's basically just saying, like, listen, we passed their borders. They know it's us now. This is a declaration for war.
Yep.
So we got all that looking forward to. And obviously during this too, Rick and, what's that girl? Is it with Rick now? Andrea. So Rick and Andrea are talking, and she basically finds out that Rick kind of swerved the people around him.
Yeah, he's riling up the troops against the Whisperers so they're not focused on him.
Exactly. Which was a good plan, and it should be doing that, but she's kind of concerned that he basically lied to everybody.
Like Negan.
Yeah.
Because that's the advice that Negan gave him.
Yes, and he's doing that now.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads us to the issue that just came out. 146. Now this issue was probably one of my favorite issues.
Yeah.
So far that came out.
Pretty cool. I loved it.
The story on this was great because the whole book was basically Alpha and Negan's relationship. And like Cody Walker said, the title of it was Queen and King. So you're thinking like, okay, they're probably, you just reading the title, you think, okay, they're kind of getting up. But you see that too during Negan's very charming for a crazy guy like he is.
Yeah. Very.
So to break it down short, the whole issue is basically Negan trying to prove himself, and he wants one of the skin. He wants like one of the skin outfits, and he's trying to be part of the group. He's just trying his best. And Alpha's like, well, you got to go through all the initiation.
Yeah.
And the
find out if you're strong enough.
Yes.
And if you're strong enough, you will survive.
Exactly. And the beta guy is basically just like, no, we should kill this motherfucker right now for lying to you and being all craziness.
And he's all jealous.
Yeah, and he's jealous too. And, saying Negan's all disrespectful. Mm-hmm. So basically Alpha gets pissed off at him, and he's basically, because one of the things is like, Alpha's the main person, and if she dies, then he takes over. And she's like, well, are you challenging me right now? And he doesn't want to do that because obviously he loves her. So he bows down to her and everything. And then Negan bows down to her. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I will bow down to you, my queen, and everything. And then she touches him. And he's just like, is this bad right now that I'm getting a hard on?
Yeah.
The stuff that comes out of this guy's mouth is amazing.
She gets him to stand up. And then he says, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. I let little Negan take the mic for a second or two, but let's be honest, it's usually more than a second or two.
Let's be honest, I take more than this. Yeah. He's saying he's not a 2-minute man, he's a 60-minute man, brother.
Yeah.
So Negan he's basically kind of getting along. He's feeding some horses. He's sleeping in the camp with everybody, kind of getting along with the community.
He's chopping some wood. He's carrying wood.
All the kind of stuff. And he walks by a person taking on a skin suit, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry, Like, calm down. I'll get mine when I get mine. And one of the best parts is when he kills the bull and he screams out like, "Yeah, fuck, I got this bull." And then
the pig.
Yeah,
and
the
he's
pig.
Screaming.
He's like, "Well, I know you guys are called the Whisperers and you gotta be quiet and everything, but I never killed the fucking pig before. Come on now."
Yep, it's like, okay, I get it. You Whisperers because you're not fucking yelling all the time.
Exactly. So this is when we get a little taste of what Negan hates the most in this world, which is you see two Whispers, and they're about to basically have their way with this other girl from the group.
Mm-hmm.
So we know from past issues that Negan does not like, any kind of violence towards women and rape, basically.
Yeah, that's basically where he draws the line.
Yeah, he draws the line
place
there.
He draws the line.
Yeah. He can do anything else, but he does draw the line at this. And I hope when we go back to the Negan comic, the Negan backstory, I hope we see kind of why, to see why he doesn't like those rules and stuff. That'd be very interesting to see. Mm-hmm. So basically he does is he stops it from happening. And then the big boy over there slaps him across his head. Beta.
Yeah.
Okay, I always fuck up his name. Beta slaps him across the head. And was basically like, what are you doing? Negan's basically just like, what the fuck, are you going to let this happen? And he's like, it's the rules around here.
Yeah, like, that's not our way.
Yeah.
You took her ability to prove that she was strong.
Exactly. So the whole thing, and then Alpha kind of intervenes too and says, that's how we do things around here because the Whispers are more kind of like an animal tribe, where animals will have sex with anything and they'll do anything just to prove that they're strong. So everybody kind of has to prove that they're strong there.
Yeah.
So
it's a very old school, the strongest survive.
Exactly. Now they're coming back to that, Alpha, we see her open up a little bit, So she did let her daughter go with, Carl.
Yeah.
And the big thing, that kind of came to light was this is like she basically didn't want to see her daughter being probably raped by anybody there.
Basically.
So that's why she basically gave her up. And she's obviously sad about that, but she can't show sadness because that would be a sign of weakness.
Yeah, because we've seen that in the previous issue where she walked off by herself and was crying and someone caught her and then she ended up killing him.
Exactly.
So
that's a big thing about these Whispers. They're more animal than they are human. And that's when we kind of...
we do see that Alpha still has... She's got some parts there. She's still crying. Obviously this one she says she misses her daughter. So obviously she's putting on a facade for the strength and the leadership.
Exactly. And Negan noticed that right off the bat, obviously. So after all this scuffle happened, Negan basically got banished to be alone by himself.
Yeah.
And he's sleeping there. He's basically calling everybody a fucking miserable fucks. You guys are just fucking bunch of weirdos and shit. And then one of my favorite lines he does is when he's talking to Alpha. He says, "Listen, I'm not the thinnest dick at the orgy. I know what's going on right now, and you guys I can't believe you're allowing this rape to happen." And she's going on about this animal instinct, and then Negan, in this comic book more than anything, actually shows like the biggest human side we've ever seen. He's talking about like how if you don't protect the weak, that's not civilization. That's not the way you should be acting if you're humans.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be acting like animals. If you guys think you're animals, that's not the right way to go because we are humans.
Yeah.
And then he's going on about just like, I've done a lot of bad things and I've, and I just done a lot of, cruel things and stuff, but I've always kept it, I've always had like I always try to keep
greater good.
Yeah, greater good. There's a reason why I did everything to keep civilization in line.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the biggest stuff, obviously when he sees Alpha kind of being a little bit sad and stuff, then that's when, like you're saying, she's all talking about, well, they took my daughter and everything, let them go. And then that's when we first get a blink of mixing Negan's backstory with this comic book.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about, I lost somebody too, and it kind of destroyed me. It made me dead to this world. It made me be lifeless. And that's how I got my power from just not being... He's basically like... What he's saying is basically like a walker, but he's a human. He doesn't have any emotion. He doesn't have anything. He just kind of just does things that he thinks are right and on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alpha was just talking about like, hey, Like, I like you, you're everything, but you're not good to be here. You know, she's basically saying, I trust you and everything, I like you, but you're not, you know, good to be here, so I can't let you be here. And then
he says some stuff, and she says, well, he says all that, and then she's like, maybe you do belong here, and then we get Negan with the knife again.
And what does he do?
Just slashes Alpha's throat.
Out of nowhere. That shit, when that happened, I don't know about you or your action, but that shocked me. I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming at all.
And then he just keeps chopping, and then with the very last page, you see him holding up his head and saying, Rick will be so happy to see you.
What a swerver. Holy shit. Negan, that guy don't play around.
So I think what Negan kind of realized was, see, he was locked up for like 2 years or so on that time jump. So 2 years and some months after that. And maybe he's seen, and then he's escaped and gone to the Whispers and seen what, like, oh, this is the other option out there. Maybe he thought that, being locked up at Alexandria was still better than being free with the Whisperers.
Yeah.
So maybe he's trying to, well, I think he's going to go back there and see if he can stay there among Alexandria and just maybe not have to be locked up. Or maybe he gets like 4 hours a day outside or something like that where he can help out. Or just like what I thought they were going to do when Rick went down to talk to him. That's what I thought he was going to, let Negan loose on the Whisperers and like send them out there as like a one-man army and have him take out as many as he could. But maybe that's what it's kind of worked out that way in a roundabout way. But maybe that's how they end up using him in the future, is he gets his own little militia group to go out and stop people before they get to the 3 communities we have now.
Remember, you brought up a good point. Remember, Negan and Rick did have kind of like a private conversation.
Yeah.
We don't know all that was talked about,
Mm-hmm.
To say more about your point, if you think about it, it's that we've seen kind of like at the beginning of this Whisper Wars that Negan, I think he's trying to make himself more trustworthy to Rick, because I think he respects Rick from actually taking Negan down off his pedestal.
Yeah.
And then basically, Negan's a very good manipulator. Obviously, he's been doing it. That's how he had his big everything, pretty much his whole life. And he finally had somebody beat him at manipulating like Rick did. So I think he respects him that way. And also, too, remember we had that episode where the gate was open and Negan never left.
Yeah.
And we didn't see any signs of him tampering with anything yet. So I think he's trying to build up trust with Rick, either to destroy Rick or actually help out. So you don't know that point right now. So that's still up in the air. So this kind of proves, I think, when he actually had his opportunity to go with the kid to go out and go to the Whispers, I think Negan in his head's like, okay, I'll go with this, and I could probably penetrate their army and take the leader's head back to Rick, and then from there, the whole town will either rally behind him. Maybe he'll even be stronger than Rick, because remember, half the town lost people to the Whispers. If Negan comes back with the main person that killed their loved one's head, the town is not going to want him to put him in prison. They're going to give him cheers.
After Negan gave him the advice to turn everyone on the Whisperers.
Exactly.
And they're spray painting "Silence the Whispers" all over the
and
town.
He's going to come back when he was the most hated person.
Head.
Exactly. He's going to come back as he was the most hated person. He's going to come back with his head. He's going to be the most beloved person. Mm-hmm. So Rick's going to have to figure out, like, how he's going to jail this guy that everybody's going to look at as a fucking hero now for getting revenge on their loved ones that died. So it's going to be we're going to have some more Rick and Negan crosshairs, and this could have been Negan's whole plan. Manipulating his game. He could have manipulated Rick to say all that stuff to get people off his back. Him breaking out, going there, charming everybody at the Whisper place like he did, and bringing the head back. Obviously from there they're gonna need Negan, because obviously the Whisperers are gonna want revenge now more than ever on their group.
Yeah. So
that's how the Whisper Wars basically started, from Negan. They might have they might have started a little bit from Dwight and Michonne kind of going there and killing some of their men, but they're probably like, it wouldn't have been a big thing. But this right now, with that head being chopped off, that is more of a declaration for war.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what Negan wants, because with this war, he might even take over Rick's group.
And the Whisperers,
and
too.
the Whisper, and come like the king, like he was again.
Because he saw what happened after All Out War when he was taking down all the communities combined, some of the saviors that were still, that I guess kind of forfeited and
kind of came along with the group.
Weren't really so strong behind Negan that they weren't really like ready to die for Negan's views and stuff. They totally flip flopped. But yeah, there's saviors in that group now, and I mean, if he's after Negan saw what that happened, now he can unite all those people and also the Whisperers together and have a big army following him.
Could be. But the thing is, I think also too, Negan, if he wants that to happen, he's got to change some of his ways. Obviously, he can't do the same thing he did with the Saviors that he's going to do with his new ally group. He needs to be more, I think he sees Rick and the way Rick does things and how he controls people. I think Negan wants to kind of like be like that. So he'll have the love of the people behind him. But I don't know if he's trying to get Rick out of the picture or not. So that's kind of the interesting stuff that we will see in the Whisper Wars to come.
That's a great question. Will they want to work together? Can Rick work together? But this will also bring up the fact that Carl keeps saying he's going to kill Negan.
Yeah, anything can happen. I don't think Negan's
Carl's
dying
at the
any soon.
hilltop now.
Yeah.
And Rick's, I mean, as much as he's been a badass since All Out War with his cane and stuff and biting people's necks off and stuff like that, he's still taking quite a beating, and he's still only got one fucking hand.
He's beat up like crazy. Like, you think he's beat up on the show? No, he's super beat up in the comic book.
Yeah, he's looking like an old dude. He's not.
So that's the comic book. Everybody check it out. The Whisper Wars is probably happening starting the saga next month. Yep. So after a little while, we'll be talking about what's going on when we come back for another edition of the Walker Report. We'll probably do that when season 7 starts up. Maybe sooner. We'll see what's going on. But speaking of Walking Dead season 7, we got a couple news going on now. Like, this has all kinds of rumors going on of who's getting the bat by Negan. There's a story out there about Abraham. There's a story about Glenn. There's one about Daryl. There's one about everybody. I mean, pretty much it's going to be the 4 major people that probably going to get it. It's either going to be Eugene, Abraham, Glenn, or Daryl. I mean, that's basically it. Michonne, I don't see happening, or any of the women, because Negan doesn't really do that. Doesn't necessarily kill women off the spot.
Plus, he doesn't know which one of them he's gonna, want later on.
Exactly. For one of his many wives. So there's a report going on right now that The Walking Dead actually filmed all 12 death scenes just for anybody trying to leak anything or get camera shots of anything, just to kill all that out. They just filmed everybody dying, and they're just gonna pick which one they want. All right, so that's one of the big things going on. It's a really smart idea because, it is a very big talking point, and people really want to see that season 7. My thing is, it really doesn't matter because in season 7, there's going to be a lot of people dying if they go use anything from the comic book. Yeah. Now, there is something saying that one of the showrunners, the Greg, he's saying they're kind of going to deviate a little bit from the comic book of how the wars happened, but they do that for every thing. Yeah. So they usually do in the show. They usually take elements from the comic book, some stuff that happened, but they kind of do it a little different. Yeah. Or add some stuff and take away some stuff, kind of like that. So this is a very interesting kind of rumor story I heard, but I heard it was a big leak that happened. So apparently there was this producer on the show, all right, that he made a video that I got taken down. Apparently got like a big fine. I don't know if he got arrested or anything, but he got a big lawsuit going against him. So I read this. What I'm saying doesn't mean it's true, doesn't mean it's false. This is just what I saw. It's anything on the internet. You don't know if it's fake or not, but he was saying that basically the guy that's getting the bat is Daryl. And there's a lot of reasons why, because there's been a lot of hints of Daryl basically getting the bat. Apparently in season 1, Daryl's there's a bat that basically said like somebody's gonna bash him head over with a bat. There's been other scenes apparently that's kind of like rumored to have Daryl dying. Now, my theory is like, okay, if you're saying that from season 1, I'm pretty sure they didn't even know who was gonna get the bat and Negan, because I don't think even was the issue 100 out by then. Season 1 of The Walking Dead. I'm not sure. It could have been.
I think it. I don't know. I think it was though.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, it's possible. You know, Walking Dead does do hints in their show of kind of like what's to come. You know, it's not like Game of Thrones where they do a lot of hints, but they do some hints about what's to come.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, you know, the guy's theory or rumors, you know, he says other stuff too, like they've already filmed his death scene already, and he's definitely saying that Daryl's the one they wanted.
And Norman Reedus has that new show
exactly
on AMC where they're just riding the motorcycles. So
God,
so if Daryl dies in The Walking Dead, they'll still have Norman Reedus for the motorcycle show.
Speaking of this, that show is so boring. I didn't even watch it, but it just looks boring as fuck.
Yeah.
And also too, there's also a rumor that's coming. They're going to make a Boondock Saints TV series. So you got two things where this guy could be gone basically and still make his money and his fame off of.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and his character is up in the air. It's like you have to follow any guidelines with him.
Who knows? Maybe he's one of the characters that crosses over in the Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, it could happen. And also too, another thing about Daryl dying is like Jesus in the comic book is a lot like Daryl. He's like very resilient. Rick's right-hand man in a way. Mm-hmm. A little bit more badass because he does all those like fighting moves with swords and everything. So maybe they want to make the Jesus guy more like that, more reliable. They want to pump up his character. And if you make it kind of makes sense because obviously Daryl's huge on the show, but he has other projects going on. Mm-hmm. So who has more longevity? If somebody's getting all these offers from Hollywood and things like that, why not get rid of his character, make Jesus such a lovable character like Daryl? It's going to take a little while, but it can happen. And then eventually, after Jesus is so badass, people will just kind of forget about Daryl. Could happen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean it is going to happen, but my prediction right now, I'm going to go with Daryl. What about you? Out of all the rumors you heard, all the stories, which one do you think is going to be?
It would be a big shake-up and a shock to see Daryl, but I still think it's going to be Glenn.
That's a really good choice.
Just because that'll hurt a lot of people's hearts still.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what all this is going to be about.
Well, another thing too that I'm kind of like contemplating is like, okay, so we're definitely gonna have a main character die in the first episode or whatever, but there's gonna be a lot of other deaths happening throughout the whole season. Mm-hmm. So they could fucking just kill Daryl, Glenn, and Abraham all in fucking season 7, and boom, there you go.
Well, technically, by this time in the comics, Abraham is already dead.
Yep.
So
Glenn gets this back.
Glenn is the one that gets it in the comics. So
yeah. So we'll see how that happens.
Daryl doesn't exist, so he has no importance to the plot going forward.
Yeah, like I was saying, the biggest person
the only one that's been rumored to be part of the death that has a big part in what comes after is Eugene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does have a big part.
We know he's not going to kill Rick because they follow Rick. And he's probably not going to kill Michonne because if he wants Rick to follow, Michonne's his chick right now. So he's not going to do that. And I don't think he's going to do any women. No. And since Maggie's pregnant, I don't think she's definitely not going to get it.
Nah, the women are definitely safe.
So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be Glenn, but it would. I wouldn't be too shocked if it was Daryl, but I also would be at the same time. Yeah.
Well, I think everybody would be, but it would be kind of I guess there's hints there, but you just don't know for sure. And I'm not really big on Eugene dying just because there's a lot of cool scenes with him coming up in the war. Mm-hmm. Especially when he's making bullets and his place gets infiltrated. So
yeah, he's got a lot of important parts in the stuff to come. So that's why I don't really think it would be Eugene. The only people that have no really. Obviously, Glenn has nothing going forward. Daryl's not in the comic, and Abraham's already dead. So,
and also too, we are getting a lot of people from the show saying like, okay, this death is definitely devastating, and I just don't think Eugene is that big of a character for people to feel too sad about.
At least not yet.
Yeah,
not yet.
He'll get there, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, I think he's just now working his way up to get into a top tier character, to where.
Now he's definitely lovable, but he's not like, okay, Eugene's dead. Okay, at least we got everybody else safe. That's like kind of, I feel like it's like that. So we'll see. So it's coming out in October. So definitely, I'm looking forward to this season 7. Said that last time. I think it's gonna be really cool. I mean, there's a lot you could take from the comic books. There's a lot you can do.
Dude, I wonder how many freaking Negan Halloween costumes this year.
Oh man, that's a great idea. Probably a shit ton. It has to be a shit ton.
It's gonna be pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
Find an old leather jacket, a little scarf,
some tight pants,
ascot, and some jeans.
One glove in a hand. There you go.
And a bat with some barbed wire on it.
Yeah. And you gotta say fuck all the time, even though I don't know how AMC is gonna do his language, but
I thought the part where they've already shown Negan, they said they filmed the very explicit version in the TV version.
Yep.
It didn't seem to lose too much.
I think it was fine, so it should be okay.
He said shit said shit a couple times instead of saying fuck like
all the time.
15.
Well, a big thing coming out was that season 7 DVD that was actually getting released in August. It's gonna have that deleted. It will not deleted, but a redone scene with the uncensored scene with Negan. So that's definitely something to check out. We'll probably be talking about when we get that.
Probably be word for word from the 100.
And speaking of Negan, a new story came out about the audition for Negan. And I thought this was really interesting, where Henry Rollins actually said he auditioned for the role of Negan. Obviously, the role went to Jeffrey Morgan. So, but the interesting about Henry Rollins auditioning, I think he would have been a great Negan, because the Negan design was actually made from Henry Rollins' features.
Yeah.
From the comic book.
So yeah, it would have been. It would have fit perfectly, because obviously they do look very similar.
Yeah.
And
some of the attitudes kind of the same.
Yeah.
Because on I never seen that, but I heard on the Sons of Anarchy show, he was actually pretty crazy on that show. And also, I'm pretty sure Henry Rollins has that. If you've seen some of his acting, see some of his shows, he could be very serious, and he also could be very goofy and funny like that. So that's perfectly how Negan's character is. So I think they kind of missed out on that. But Jeffrey Morgan, maybe he'll have that too. I haven't seen enough of him play Negan, because we saw him kind of being like serious in that scene, which he was in the comic book. But later on, Negan, like we're just going over, has this weird kind of like personality. Is very charming, but he's also very funny. He's also very like serious.
Yeah.
It's just a wild, a very fascinating character on the show. Very different than almost anybody you'll see on The Walking Dead. And it is going to be like, okay, are they going to make him more serious in the show, or because they do people different in the show? So
they're gonna have to change at least something to keep it.
Can he call people? Can he call people Nick Dickface? Or can he say he has?
Fuck face.
Can he say? Can Negan say that he doesn't have the thinnest dick out of an orgy?
I think he can actually say that one on TV.
Nice.
So that one.
One of my favorites.
Look forward to that. Hopefully that's one that they do on the movie.
So I don't know if we talked about this before though, but I have to say, because it's one of my favorite Negan lines ever. So they're bombing Alexandria, and he says to one of his men, he's like, "Oh my God, I got such a big boner right now." It's like, "What about you? Do you have a big boner?" And then he's like, "Negan, yes sir, I have a big boner." And then he looks at him like, "Ew." Oh my God, it's just awesome. Just fucking comedy on this guy. Alright, so also too, some news that we got up from season 7. Apparently they're going to have 2 new characters debut. And we got their names already on the show. One of them is called Naomi, which is going to be a grandmother to somebody. I'm not sure if she's going to be on Rick's side or if she's going to be on the Savior's side, but she's going to be a new character. It's not in the comic books or anything. And we're also getting a optimistic teenager, sounds fun, named Jenna. So we're going to have 2 new people on the show be more characterized.
Carl's love interest, maybe?
Could be. Well, he already has that one girl as love interest right now. So maybe it could be a rival. I don't know.
Yeah, she stayed. She stayed.
Yeah.
She ran off and then she came back.
Yeah. She came out back. So, but it should be very interesting. I'm very looking forward to season 7. And
yeah, because he locked her in the closet. She's still stuck in the closet.
Yeah,
someone can't get out of the closet. Let her out of the closet yet.
Now there was a theory that they think that she might have poisoned Maggie's food. What do you think? Or you think Maggie just having that, maybe just all of a sudden, there is a world that's not safe to have a baby, so.
Yeah, I could see her, since she was pretty distraught, obviously, and her little just survived somehow, and I could see that. Her.
Well, they do like to do twists and turns on the show.
Her not thinking a baby would, or her thinking the baby would be a detriment to the entire town, because the baby starts crying.
The walker's coming.
And they're coming for everybody.
It's true. All right.
Like they say in the Game of Thrones, from Cold Hands, the dead don't sleep.
The dead don't sleep.
Or the dead don't rest. That was it.
Yes.
Come with me. The dead don't rest.
They're coming, and they're coming for us all. All right, everybody. That's been the Walker Report. We'll be back here soon. Maybe in September, October. Probably definitely in October. But we'll see if we do anything pre.
See how the Whisper Wars go.
Ooh, the Whisper Wars.
If there's anything that we just need to jump in on.
Yes.
ASAP. Also,
so check out the Whisper Wars. Everybody go to your local comic book store. Support this comic books along with many others. And also, pick up Image Magazine, where you can see the Negan backstory that we'll be talking about too. And also, coming out is The Walking Dead Season 7. And also see that the second edition of the Negan scene. So some of the stuff to look forward to. And Fear the Walking Dead's probably coming back soon, but I don't know the exact release date for the rest of the season. So
yeah, they're obviously splitting it up in half, just like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, definitely a longer season this time. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, everybody. This has been the Walker Report, and we'll come back talk to you later. And everybody, remember, if you see a Negan, try not to make out with him, because he'll cut your head off.
Yeah.
Feed it to Rick, brother.
A question to ponder. Walkers or White Walkers? You decide.
Good. Which one is more deadly?
Walkers or Whites?
True. All right, everybody. Tweet Cody at
Cody MF Dub DUBB.
Yeah, brother. And tweet me at JK Cline. Let us know. Is it White Walkers or the Walkers? What's more deadly? So, and also everybody check out Cody's band, Like Bridges We Burns. If you live around here in Texas and my other place, we'll be posting that stuff on the Killer Instant Podcast page. So go check this out. And this has been the Walker Report.
See y'all later.